15 events have led up to this, but Bloxy Marble League Season 2 will return for one last time with Event 16, Zone Invasion. I am Penguins and I'll be commentating on what will be a thrilling conclusion to this chapter of the Bloxy Marble League. But first we will be looking at the Captain's Championship, something we have not seen in a long while. Last time we've seen it is in Asteroid Collision. The winner of that event, Pressing Waves, will lead the pack with 77 points, and compared to the Fireworks 75, and Team Lunar tied with the Fireworks. Reflecting Rodeos, let me Lunatic Green Satellites can still technically win, but it will be a long shot at best. It's now looking at the overall standings. Team Lunar will lead with 175 points, an incredible hosting year for them. Fireworks in second with 12 points behind, and Team Lunar, Blue News and Lemmy Lunatic still able to win, and the Breaking Waves still able to podium. Now we'll be looking at the demonstration run conducted by the B-League teams of the Tinted Lens and the Spheres of Sky, two teams that had vastly different in stories in the B-League. One finished 4th and the other finished in 11th. Now the format of how this works is if you jump into the other team's territory, you score points. If you end up in your own territory, you lose points, and if you DNF, it will be 0 points. But we'll start things off with the Pressing Waves and the Dragonflies in Heat 1. Both teams, they have definitely had disappointing seasons as of late. Of course, both of these teams have actually led the championship this season, but have since fallen back after poor showings in the second half. Now it seems that the Dragonflies have started things off pretty well here with 4 points, but the Pressing Waves, even with the 2 DNFs, that will be a win. The Pressing Waves will lead by 3 points. Means, of course, DNFs may technically be better than ending up in the opponent's territory, but if the two teams end up on the same point difference, then the number of DNFs will be the determining tiebreak. As we look, seems that Dragonflies are off to a good start. Pressing Waves, unfortunately, 2 of their marbles have gone a bit too far. They've overshot what they intended, and that will be negative. That will be a lot of points they will lose. -1 to 5. The Dragonflies have managed to turn things around, and will be moving on to the quarterfinals. Pressing Waves, unfortunately, yet another disappointing end for the gold medalists of the jump pad. Actually, now we'll be moving on to Heat 2. The Winter Walkers are the team currently at the bottom of the standings, and the Reflecting Rodeos, those of course the silver medalists of the jump pad. The bronze medalist of the jump pad, silver medalist last season, one of the most revered teams in the jump pad. Currently, it seems that they will be behind behind the Winter Walkers with Winter Walkers. So it will only be by 1 point. So a recovery is definitely still on the table. The Winter Walkers cannot get too comfortable. Also, starting next up will be the Reflecting Rodeos starting on the right. And it will be the Winter Walkers and Reflecting Rodeos who will both shoot past the opponent's territory. Reflecting Rodeos will go yet again as the Winter Walkers record a -4 on their tally. This could be fatal for the Winter Walkers, who would want a top half finish. They've not had one since event 11. Since event 10, and of course now it seems that the Reflecting Rodeos have managed to secure a top half finish. And Reflecting Rodeos and the Winter Walkers will be tied with them. So once again, narrowly missing out similarly to event 15. Moving on, we have the Surfing Sharks versus the Whirlwinds, and it seems that the Surfing Sharks already an incredible start for them. It will be 2 in the 5s, but 1 in the -1, but their Surfing Sharks member that flew a bit too far has managed to return back to the correct direction, and it will be 13 points compared to the Whirlwinds 4. A 9-point difference this may have cemented the Whirlwinds down into the bottom half. Of course, a tragic season they've been having, with 7 finishes in the bottom 3. This could be an 8th out of 16, depending on how things go. And I think that is the final nail in the coffin of the fourth place team last season. Season 2 to -3, and it will be an incredible 14-point difference between the Surfing Sharks and the Whirlwinds. The season 2 qualifying winners showing off their skill, and continuing what has been an incredible show of form as of late after a very disappointing start to the season. Next up, we have the Oral Orbs versus the Lemony Lunatics. Now, Oral Orbs, we have 2 in the 2, and 1 in 3, but it will be a 1 in the -4, and I think that will be the Lemony Lunatics who will be leading 8 points to 3. That last marble for the Orbs absolutely wrecked the difference between them and the Lemony Lunatics. Now, we will switch sides for the rest of the second round of Heat 4, but let's see how things will go. So, it will be a 1 and a 3 and a 1-3-5 for the Lemony Lunatics, and a 2 and a 5 for the Orbs. Let's see how this last marble goes, and it will be Lemony Lunatics. They will lose. They'll get a -4. This will be terrible for their score, but let's see how that final marble the Orbs can go. It will be a DNF, and there will be 7 points to the 5. It will be a win for the Orbs, but overall they will still lose. That marble that fell into the -4 in that first round proved detrimental. And detrimental to the Orbs, as they will be settling for the bottom half. Next up, we have the Fireworks versus Team Magenta. 2 teams that have definitely had very different tales this season. One of them trying to take a second championship in the Bloxy Marble League. The other who are struggling near the back for most of the season, but has had good showings as of late. Fireworks will lead though, 7 points to 4 for them, -3 for Team Magenta. Team Magenta will need a miracle if they want to potentially usurp that advantage spot from the Fireworks. Currently, they have not led a single event, despite being the Season 1 champions. They have not led a single event this season. Will they be able to make it? Will they be able to break that drought this event and win? Well, they will need to advance first, which they seem set on doing, despite that looked like a much weaker round for them. It seems so. Team Magenta definitely a lot better from them in terms of the high scores, but those negative scores absolutely demolished them, and it will be 9 to -1. Team Magenta will be finishing on a negative point difference, and it will be a 10-point difference to them and the Fireworks. Fireworks looks set and to be able to take the challenge for Team Lunar. Next into the next round, it will be the Green Satellite and the Blue News up next. It seems that it was a pretty evenly matched round for them. Team Magenta, Blue News lost that 1 marble at the back, but they have a lot higher scores, and they'll be tied on points, 10 to 10. Technically, Blue News in the lead because of that higher score of that 5 points. But of course, this means that everything will count on this final round of Heat 6. It's overall very low score, very low trajectories for both teams. Of course, we saw in the jump pad earlier this season, both teams really struggled, 13th and 14th place teams. But unfortunately, the Green Satellite, unfortunately for the Blue News, they put up a valiant title fight. It's very strong, a very respectable season for them. But they will be knocked out right here by 1 point. Their title hopes are over. Now looking at Heat 7, Green Satellite, it's the Glitchy Gladiators and the Pearlescent Purity. Of course, Pearlescent Purity are runners-up last season, having a very disappointing year, and I don't think that will change so far to Glitchy Gladiators with the advantage, 4 points to -1. And Pearlescent Purity seem pretty out of their depth actually. We looking at these past events, and their gold medal in the elimination race really carrying what has been a terrible year for the year after such a promising start. Now, Glitchy Gladiators, of course, one of these teams here actually fighting a Pearlescent Purity, a very gold-heavy team last season, fighting a team with no gold, and there'll be another 5. There'll be a -5 point, and actually the Pearlescent Purity will technically win with 0 to -1, but it will be the Glitchy Gladiators who will take the win, 3 points to -1 over Pearlescent Purity, where a -4 point difference doesn't seem like a lot, but it's actually the bottom. That's actually the third worst that we've seen all day. But looking at the final heat, it will be Team Lunar versus the Eccentric Electric. Of course, Team Lunar is looking in a pretty comfortable spot right now. All the other teams need a podium at the minimum to take the title. Well, but of course, they cannot. They are too complacent here. As Team Lunar loses one more, we saw one of them DNF over there. But let's see how the final more goes. It will be good showing for them. 5 points to Eccentric Electric's 0. Well, of course, Eccentric Electric are silver medalists in the silver medalists here in the jump pad. But as we've seen, a lot of the teams that have done well in the jump pad had in the past have definitely struggled, with the exceptions of Reflecting Rodeos and Fireworks. So let's see if Eccentric Electric can make the recovery. Though looks a lot stronger for them, but it seems that one marble, they almost fell into the -5, but they have managed to save themselves. But so does Team Lunar with one of their members who will get into a 5. But now it will be Eccentric Electric. This will determine whether our championship leaders and our hosts of season 2 will be able to make it to the next round. Now the Eccentric Electric taking their time. They do not want to time this wrong incorrectly. This could be an opportunity to get a top half finish. They have not seen one since event 12, and they will fall into the -3. It will be 5 points in 1. But unfortunately for the Eccentric Electric, they will lose out by 1 point. They will be missing out. Wooden Walkers, Team Blue News, Eccentric Electric, Orbs, Partial Waves, Pearlescent Purity, Team Magenta, and the Whirlwinds will be our bottom half. Whirlwinds, yet another bottom half, another last place finish, their 3rd this season. They will fall to 15th. If Eccentric Electric pass them. As we can see in our provisional standings, only the Fireworks are still left to win, since Team Lunar actually advanced to the next round. First up, now we'll be looking at quarterfinal 1 with Green Satellites and Reflecting Rodeos. Green Satellites actually had a really high scoring round for them, 24 points to the Blue News 23. Reflecting Rodeos narrowly scraped by 5. That would be 15 points there for Reflecting Rodeos, but that last marble could prove costly for them. I think that's evade -3 for them, and I think the Green Satellite consistency might have beaten them. Yeah, 15 to 12, 3-point difference, a 3-point deficit. The Reflecting Rodeos will try to make up in the second round, potentially to get a top 4 finish. Now, as we're off with the Reflecting Rodeos on the left and the Green Satellites in the right. Seems that the Green Satellites' whole strategy this event has been really just to prioritize getting consistent results, rather than trying to risk it and going for the big 5 points. And it seems that that's proved credible. 11 points compared to Reflecting Rodeos who have definitely collapsed this round to 4 points, and it will be 26 to 15 as Reflecting Rodeos will be knocked out with an 11-point difference. A very large, stark contrast to both of these teams' rounds, actually. As we will look at the next round, the Dragonflies versus the Lemurtics, both teams that did very successful in their inaugural seasons. 5th for the Lemurtics and the 3rd for Dragonflies. It would look to be a Dragonflies win because of that last Lemurtics marble who falls into the -5. It was a very costly error for the Lemurtics, but let's see if they can make it, if they will be able to make it to the next round. Of course, the title is already off the table, but a podium is definitely still on it, as it seems a minor collision, no DNFs there. But the Lemurtics will once again lose out. It will be 6 points for the Dragonflies compared to 0 for the Lemurtics. It's a very impressive season nonetheless, but they will be knocked out, and they will not be finishing on the podium. Next up, it will be Team Lunar and the Surfing Sharks. Of course, I think that was actually a really fast finishing round there. There are no marbles going out of bounds or to the jump pad, to the other team's jump pad. And now it will be Team Lunar and the Surfing Sharks will actually tie on points 9 to 9. Team Lunar, of course, their championship is still not guaranteed. They may need guaranteed the Fireworks still have a chance at the podium, still have a chance at winning, but if they advance, they will make the Fireworks' lives a lot more difficult, and it seems that the Surfing Sharks will unfortunately lose out. how it will be 3-3-4-4 for the Team Lunar compared to 2-3-3-4 for the Surfing Sharks. 2-point difference separating the two teams, as Team Lunar will be moving on 24 points to the Surfing Sharks 21, who I think to be really happy to finish this event, to finish this season on a high. And finally, it will be this will be the round to decide it all. The Fireworks versus the Gladiators. The Team Lunar will have to watch in anticipation on whether the Fireworks will be able to clinch will be able to move on to the semifinals. But it seems that their chances have been seem very. There was, I think that's 2 marbles in the -5. Yes, it is a 7-point difference they'll have to make up. Gladiators with 4 points because they 4 points. The Fireworks, the chances at their chances at the podium, at the win, seem to be unraveling, and this will be the deciding round on whether the Team Lunar will be able to clinch the championship early. We seen the Gladiators get that get -5, but Fireworks will win with 7 points to 4. But unfortunately, they will be knocked out with a -4 difference. Gladiators will move on to the next round, and that confirms that Team Lunar are your Season 2 champions. An incredible season for them. Fireworks celebrating what has been a heartfelt battle with Team Lunar fans in the grandstand, celebrating as they will move on. They will be in their hosting year. They have won. As the first official host, they have won their own season on home soil. Fireworks fans in shock, but they can still hold their heads high, for it was an incredible season for them. Green Satellites versus Dragonflies will determine the rest of our positions. None of these teams, the rest of the teams other than Team Lunar, of course, will have already been knocked out podium contention. So this is really just a scrap for the remaining positions in the mid pack, and potentially Dragonflies, if they do well enough, they will be able to move on to the next. They will be able to pass the Lemmy Hicks for 4th. Now the Dragonflies is currently not in a good spot though. Green Satellites was absolutely annihilated. The Dragonflies in the first round, but they can still make a comeback, and they seem to have done so. 5-5-4 compared to the Green Satellites 4-4-4, but it seems both teams may be actually losing points. I mean, we see the Green Satellites lose their first. See the Green Satellites lose out get negative points for the first time this event, when they've been doing very well. But at 3-4-5-5, 17 points, a 6-point difference compared to Green Satellites. But unfortunately for Dragonflies, is not enough. By 1 point yet again, the Green Satellites have scraped by to the final, which means that they could potentially be challenging for their first gold medal since Event 2 in balancing, which really was a shocking revelation considering this was technically the lowest seeded team of the entire field. Now it will be the Gladiators versus Team Lunar, who will be facing off semi-final to a long-standing rivalry between these two teams. They have been they've been side by side in the standings for many times in season 1, and of course they faced off in season 2 Asteroid Collision, where by 1 point the Gladiators were knocked out. Let's see if they will be able to have potentially a retaliation against that early knockout. How they could have knockout. Let's see how things will go with a 5-1 -1 for Team Lunar and a 1-1-4 for the Gladiators. I think that's gonna cement it. The Gladiators will move on 12 points to 8 for Team Lunar, but of course they would still be they could still technically get a bronze medal and make it 6 medals this season for Team Lunar. Of course, they don't really need a good finish here. They can settle with 4th. Their championship is already done. It will just be depending on how many points they can stretch their lead by. 6 points for the Dragonflies versus Team Lunar's 4, or they will be behind even with the Dragonflies 1 DNF. But let's see if the Dragonflies will be able to get their first medal since Event 5, which is just goes to show how truly consistent the Dragonflies Dragonflies are, in general, actually, a very podium weak team, a very podium-less team compared to many of their front-running counterparts. But they are still considered a top team in the Bloxy Marble League, and yet another DNF for 4 points. But it will be Dragonflies who take their first medal without the involvement of their reserve Zoom. They will be definitely celebrating that, and as Team Lunar will be finishing 4th. I think this might, I'm not wrong, this might be their first 4th place finish, but I'm not too sure. But as we look out to the final, Green Satellites versus Gladiators, will they take a second gold medal, or will the Gladiators take their first ever gold medal? A surprising statistic. The Gladiators, of course, no gold medals in their campaign, but they will be finishing. But currently, very far behind. They don't set to be looking so, as the Green Satellites have shown time and time again, and they are looking impressive in this event. Then it will be a 4-4-4-4 compared to the 5-2-1 for the Gladiators. I think this is a foregone conclusion that the Green Satellites have won this event. But let's see how much the Gladiators can close that gap, and it will be a 3 for them, a 1-2-3-5, a completely positive scoring event. The Green Satellites will win by 10 points as they will claim the title and claim the gold medal. The Gladiators will finish yet another season with a medal. Dragonflies in 3rd, Team Lunar 4th, Surfing Sharks 5th are defending champions with Hamilton in 6th, Lemmy 6 7, and Reflecting Rotius 8. I've been your host, Penguins. Thank you for following the Bloxy Marble League Season 2, and we'll catch you all in Season 3.